Jessica Frost-Ballas here with a video for Trinity Stamps. Today I've created a sparkly Trifold mini Slimline Christmas card using some of our new holiday gnomes, so let's get started. First, I stamp a bunch of images from SnGNOMEman and Sledding Fun with VersaFine and heat emboss them with clear embossing powder. I'm coloring my images with Copic markers, and I'm using R59, 29, 27, 24, and 22 for my reds. I start with my darkest marker and add some shadows along the bottom of the hat. Then I go in with my next lighter marker and extend those shadows out slightly. I followed the crease lines in the image to help me know where to place my shadows. As I add each lighter marker, I blend back to the darkest section so that I have a smooth transition between shades. I keep the center of the hat lightest to give the illusion of depth, and then repeat the process for my gnome's gloves. For my second gnome's hat and gloves, I follow a similar coloring process, but use G19, 9, 5, 3, and 2. I use a variety of grays for different parts of these images. I use Cool Gray 2, 4, and 6 for the metal blades of the sled. Then I color the wooden rope with E27, 25, 23, and 21. I use toner gray in T9, T7, and T5 for their shoes. Then I use warm gray in 3, 1, and 0, 0 for their beards. Since I have a lot of white or off-white parts of the images, using lighter different shades of gray helped give it a little variation. For their noses, I use E50, 13, and 21. Then I finish this image with toner gray 2 and 0 for the pom-poms on their hats. For the rest of the images, I pretty much use the same marker colors and coloring process. I've sped it up, but you should still be able to see all of the marker caps that I'm using for various parts. The only additional markers I use are Y35 and 38 for the carrot noses on my snow gnomes. As I'm coloring, you'll notice that both tips of my markers are uncapped. I've been cleaning and refilling my markers and want to avoid getting ink bloops on my paper, so I'm uncapping them to help equalize the pressure. Once I finish coloring all of the images, I die cut them with the coordinating dies. Off camera, I ended up stamping and coloring 2 more of the small trees that you'll see me add to the card later. Now it's time to create my mini Slimline card. I have a piece of white cardstock cut to 10.5 inches by 6 inches. I use my scoreboard to score it at 3.5 inches on both ends. Then I fold along my score lines and use a bone folder to crease my folds for my trifold card. I want to create a snowy sledding scene, so I use a pencil to lightly sketch out a hill shape on both of the side panels. The left side is slightly lower to the bottom of the panel. Then I use scissors to cut along the sketch lines I drew. I also use a paper trimmer to cut the long vertical part. Then I fold my card base back up and stamp a sentiment from SnGNOMEman onto the center panel with black ink. I want to give the white panels a little more depth and dimension, so I use BG02, 000, and 0000 to sketch out little hills of snow along the white panels. I draw a few lines with my darkest marker and then kind of blend out with the lighter shades. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but I try to sketch the lines in the same direction as the cut hills of the panel. So right now, the tree and SnGNOMEman aren't actually adhered to my panel yet, they're just placeholders. But I'm ready to adhere my larger Sledding gnome duo on the left panel, which is the front of my trifold card. Then I open up the left flap and adhere the tree. Before I add the SnGNOMEman, I add more snow shading with my light BG markers. Once I'm happy with the snow, I adhere the SnGNOMEman. Before I add my images to the center panel, I want to create a sky. So I take a piece of scrap cardstock and cut a hill-shaped mask. Then I temporarily adhere it over my inside panel. I lightly blend tumbled glass distressing to add a little color to the bottom of my sky. I keep the color darkest at the horizon and blend out to white at the top. Once I finish blending, I remove the mask. I add sketchy snow lines all across the inside and then add my largest tree and the last SnGNOMEman at the bottom. When the card is closed up, you won't see them, but it helps give a little interest to the inside of the card. Off camera, I add a few accents with a white gel pen. And now it's time to add some sparkles. I start by applying thin lines of Nuvo Crystal Glaze to the images and some of my sketch lines, and then sprinkle them lightly with chunky and Prisma glitter. While the inside is drying, I color and die cut the last two trees off camera. The small tree isn't perfectly symmetrical, but it's close enough that I can adhere it behind the right side panel tree so you don't see the coloring marks on the back. I add the last tree to the right side panel, and once the inside is totally dry, I flip the card over and repeat the crystal glaze and glitter process. Once I finish, I tap off the excess and then let the panel dry completely. And that's it! I love how the scene just continues to unfold as you open the card, and I hope you do too. You can find more information on the products I used in the YouTube description below. Be sure to subscribe to the Trinity Stamps channel for even more crafty inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, have an amazing day and happy crafting. Bye!